Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at wagertalk.com, and all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
Welcome to the NBA Triple Double Show powered by SportsMemo. I'm your host, Ronald Cabang, also known as UCapper on SportsMemo.com and at U_Capper on Twitter. I'm going to be joined by Moneyline Matt, as always, here on the Triple Double Show. We're going to be breaking down 3 games from today's slate. Before we get into those games, though, I do want to talk about some of the promos we got going on over at SportsMemo.com. It is Monday, so $9 Monday, as always. SportsMemo.com, all picks and packages on the site for just $9 from all of your Sports Memo handicappers that we got over there. Also, we got 2 promo codes to call out here. Double 7, you can get a 7-day all access pass for just $49 for either myself or Matt. Or you can use it on both of us. We both cap more than just the NBA here, and that's why it's the 7-day all access, not just the NBA. $7 a day for that package there. And also, we have the deal for $100 off the remainder of the NBA season using the code SPORT100. Once again, SPORT100 for $100 off the remainder of the NBA season. That includes the playoffs and the championships there. These amazing promos all available on sportsmemo.com, so make sure you check out the site on a daily basis to see what's going on over there. Also, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button before you go. It only takes a couple clicks and it helps us grow tremendously here on the Sports Memo Triple Double Show here. Let's get Matt join us here on the panel. What is good, Matt? I hope you had a great weekend. Hopefully we start off strong here on Friday. I think we had a really good show. I know on my end we were able to hit a few of the plays, not only just the best bet, but some of the plays that we talked about on the show. But how was your weekend?
Yeah, Friday was a good day, definitely. We called out a lot of pretty good spots. I know we called that T-Wolf spot, and unfortunately my best bet with Pascal Siakam did not hit. The guy shot 8 for 26 from the field on Friday. So really that's what you're looking for. You're trying to highlight those spots where you're going to get a lot of volume, hopefully that they convert and make some of those shots, and it was just one of those days Siakam did not. And for me, my weekend, if you guys have watched me on any of the shows, you know I love the San Francisco 49ers. So it was a very, very tough day for me. I also wanted the Bengals to win that one. So not a great weekend for me. It was pretty sad. I just shut my door and stayed in my room. But we're ready to bounce back today with some NBA. Got a good NBA card, a lot of high total games and fast-paced matchup. You guys know that's what I love. So let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. Real quick, my recap for the weekend. I did lose both NBA bets yesterday, but overall on the last 7 days, I am still positive. So ended the week on a sour note. But hopefully we start off this week well. Let's get into that slate here. We got 3 games on the board. The first one up here is the Nets and the Lakers. Nets coming off of the win over the Knicks on Saturday. Last of a 3-game road trip. They have a key game up next against the Celtics. I think in Boston on Wednesday there. And for the most part, the Lakers here, they're coming off of that heartbreaking OT loss to the Celtics. This is the second of a 5-game Eastern Conference road trip as well. Also, first leg of back-to-back games. They do have the Knicks on deck tomorrow. From an injury perspective, LeBron and AD are out for this game. Reeves is out as well. Lonnie Walker is probable. KD out. Warren is doubtful. And Ben Simmons is questionable for the most part. Dude, yesterday you could have got this line at Nets +1 or +1.5. Now we're seeing them favored at 9. I think it's 9 still. Yeah. Yep, 9. It's moving to 9 now. Such a huge movement there. It's tough to take a team with that 10-point gap from what you could have had at open. But to me, it seems like that might be the only way that I could look here with both LeBron and AD. Yeah, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so I'm going to be honest. For all the points that you just made, that's why I have this game as a hard pass. I'm going to be honest with you. With both LeBron and Anthony Davis out, I don't see any reason for me to try and make a bet in this game. And then on top of that, you have a 230-point total, and anytime blowout risk is in the game, it's tough to pick the total as well, because if a blowout does happen, oftentimes it goes under that total. And then obviously, if the game does somehow stay close, it could potentially go over that. And there's just too many key guys, key names who are going to be missing here. As we know with the Brooklyn Nets, Kevin Durant is still out. Ben Simmons is a game time decision. And then TJ Warren coming off that bench. And then again, for the Lakers, Anthony Davis, LeBron James. And, me and you talk about that injury replacement theory all the time. And, maybe it is viable here. But it's just really not one of those spots where I'm trying to take a leap and make a play out of nothing. I think there's some better games on this slate with some closer spreads, some higher totals, better opportunity for these players to go off. But one outside look that I want to give for this game is a point prop, and it would be with Rui Hachimura. Rui Hachimura's point prop has not been dropped yet, but I do expect him to get the start for LeBron James. And this is a player that the Lakers just traded for, so they want to see what they got. I think they're going to run some sets for him, run some plays, try and get the ball in his hands, give him some usage, and kind of see what they got. Rui is a nice young player. I think he's pretty talented personally. I think he's a solid defender on top of that. And I think he's someone that the Lakers do want to build around in some ways going forward. So I think he's an interesting angle that when his point prop does get dropped, or even a points plus rebounds, I think that's definitely an interesting look. And if there was one play that I like from this game, I think it would be Rui Hachimura, even though the point prop hasn't dropped just yet.
Yeah, that's a good point. They're gonna want to feature him at some point here. Yeah, I looked at this game here, and obviously with LeBron and AD out, it's tough to back the Lakers here. They have been covering at a high rate, at least for the past month now. I think 11-3-1 against the spread the last 15 games. That dates back to the end of December. The Lakers, though, without LeBron and AD, I looked at how they do with both of those guys out. 1-3 straight up. All three of those losses were on the road like they are today. They failed to cover the spread in all three of those games as well. So it almost seems like that injury replacement theory doesn't work out well for them specifically. I know we talk about it a lot, but LeBron and AD out at the same time is way too much to really cover for them at the moment with how their roster is made up. But we'll see what Rui is made of today, because he's going to be that focal point, I think, in that starting lineup here with those two guys out. I can only look towards the Nets here. I'll talk about it a little bit more later on in the best bet section. But for me, I would only look towards the Nets here. Let's go on to this next one. The Raptors and the Suns here. Raptors coming off of that 18-point win over the Blazers in Portland. They won 3 of their last 4 games, so they're playing pretty well right now. 4th of a 7-game road trip, though. So, and 3rd game in 4 nights as well. So there could be some fatigue here on the Raptors side. On the Suns, they won and covered in 5 of the last 6 games. So both of these teams playing pretty well right now. First of a 2-game homestand off a 1-game road trip. Before that, they actually had 5 straight home games. So really, for the most part of maybe the last couple of weeks, they've been sitting pretty at home. Injury perspective, Anunoby is out with that wrist injury. Banton is questionable. On the Sun side, same guys, Payne, Booker, and Shamet are still out. From a matchup perspective, the Raptors did win and cover the first matchup in Toronto, 113-104 as 2-point favorites. The total was 221.5, so they did go under. No Booker in that game, no Van Vliet, no Achua for the Raptors either, so that's probably why the line and the total was a little bit funky that game. But now the Raptors are a little bit healthier other than Anunoby, and then now the Suns too. No Booker, no Payne, no Shamet. Do you see any difference in the outcome for this game here tonight?
So for me, I'm kind of looking the same way of the last matchup. Like you said, I actually very much like the under here. And I like the under because of the stylistic matchup. These two teams are some of the slower teams in all of basketball. The Phoenix Suns run the 22nd pace in all of basketball. The Toronto Raptors run the 26th pace in all of basketball. And in terms of matchups, both teams have longer defenders. You got guys like Mikal Bridges, who's one of the better wing defenders. You got a guy like Cam Johnson, who's coming back playing very good basketball. But when you got guys like Scotty Barnes, Gary Trent, Pascal Siakam, and I think, I believe what the Raptors generally do is put Juan Hernan-Gomez in at the small forward generally, or they could run Chris Boucher, someone along those lines. Either way, I think that they have the length necessary to try and slow each team down. And, with the Phoenix Suns on top of that, if I were to go with a side here, it actually would be with the Suns at home. I think the Suns are playing far better basketball now that they've gotten Cam Johnson reinserted back into that lineup. And I do know Landry Shamet is probably going to miss that game. Cam Payne is still hurt, and of course, Devin Booker. But I do think they're playing a lot better basketball, and someone who's really elevated their game at this point in time is Chris Paul. Chris Paul is averaging over his last 4 games 18.5 assist opportunities per matchup. And in this game, on top of that, DeAndre Ayton, in my personal opinion, has a huge mismatch down low against guys like Pascal Siakam. And then again, if someone like Juan Hernan-Gomez has to come into that small forward position, the Toronto Raptors, yes, they have length, but they don't have a ton of height. So I do give that advantage to someone like DeAndre Ayton. And I think that also helps Chris Paul on top of that, who's had a double-double in every game since he's come back from injury. And this morning, his double-double odds across numerous sports books were around -125, -130, and we're on the rise. So I do think that's a good look today as well for Chris Paul, just because of that pure fact that DeAndre Ayton and Chris Paul in that pick and roll, I think will be very effective in this matchup. And again, I think Ayton has that mismatch down low. And again, though, if I were to go any way, I think I would side with that under here once again. I think that's a very good look. These are 2 slower teams in the NBA and 2 very sound defensive teams, especially with Cam Johnson back in that lineup. Again, a longer defender, a bigger body can help get out, guard people like Scotty Barnes, Gary Trent, Fred VanVleet been playing very good basketball. So again, I think I would side with the under here, but I definitely really like that look of the Chris Paul double-double. I know it's a little bit juiced. If you don't like Chris Paul, I think you can definitely take a look at DeAndre Ayton tonight, because I think he has a very favorable matchup.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm actually leaning with you towards this under here. I know the Raptors have been playing well offensively the last few games here. Actually, I looked at it. It's been a 12-game span here where they're playing really well offensively. They're 4th in the league in offensive rating during that 12-game span, but only 20th in defensive rating. But if you look at the other side, the Suns, while the Raptors are doing it, they're getting it done offensively. The Suns have been doing it defensively. I mentioned earlier they won and covered 5 of their last 6 games. During that 6-game period, the Suns are 1st in the league in defensive rating, but only 21st in offensive rating. And we know that the Raptors, they play one of the slower paces in the league as well. You mentioned that. The Suns, they've held their opponents to under their team total in 5 of those last 6 games. The only reason why the one game went over was because they went into OT. So in regulation, their opponent would have been under their team total here. I mentioned the travel fatigue possibly coming here for the Raptors being on the West Coast for a while now. I think the under, like you mentioned, is the way to go here. The Suns, as home favorites, they're 12-8 to the under, only allowing 106.8 points per game. The other part as well, the Suns here, 5-8 straight up, 4-9 ATS, 9-4 to the under versus teams that they lost to in the most recent matchup this season. So in these revenge spots, they typically go under as well, 9-4 to the under. And in five straight revenge situations, they've gone under. To me, on the side perspective, I think it's tough, right? Because I think they're totally opposite directions as far as how well they do offensively and defensively. But for the most part, I mentioned that travel fatigue on the Raptors side. They also play a slow pace. On the other side, they continue to struggle offensively, but they play really tough defense. They're only allowing opponents to shoot under 44% from the field the last 6 games. So for me, I would say the under is the best play in this game as well. I'm going to stay away from the side. Last game here, Hawks Blazers. Hawks coming off of that outright loss to the Clippers. First of a 5-game West Coast road trip. So they're traveling from Atlanta all the way to the West Coast now. Blazers coming off of that 18-point loss to the Raptors on Saturday at home. This is the last of a 5-game homestand too. So they travel towards the Grizzlies in the next matchup here. Possible look ahead. Injuries. Trae Young is questionable for the Blazers. Winslow is out. Hart and Nurkic are both questionable from last I saw. First matchup of the season here between these two teams. Obviously, non-conference. they don't play each other too often. But I don't know. This one seems like a Blazer spot to me, just because they're coming off of that loss. I feel like they want to close out the homestand on a good note, and then the Hawks, they really struggle in these travel spots going from home to the road. So what are your thoughts on this one, Matt?
Yeah, I'm with you here. I'm looking at the Blazers in this matchup. And to your point, when you have a homestand like that, and then you're going to head out for a road trip, they're heading out for that 3-game road trip, starting off with the Memphis Grizzlies. I really feel like you want to get that last home win before heading out on a good note. And this is a team that's been somewhat up and down. And currently, they do have some players with game time decisions, as Josh Hart and Yusuf Nurkic, who would like to see some news there. But this is just an Atlanta Hawks team right now that is just so inconsistent. They're so up and down. You never really know exactly what you're going to get from them night in, night out. And Trae Young also has a game time decision coming into this matchup. And, I personally think that the Portland Trailblazers playing at home, they just have more firepower on top of that. Damian Lillard is playing unbelievable basketball. I think he's playing more consistent basketball than someone like Trae Young or someone like DeJounte Murray. So he's someone that you can put your faith in front of his home crowd a little bit more. And then again, you got guys like Anfernee Simmons, you got Jeremy Grant on top of that. And then again, someone I would really like to see the news on is Yusuf Nurkic. He's someone who can have some very good games down low. He's a very solid rebounder on top of that. And, this is a game that has a 236.5 point total. These are two teams that have been giving up a ton of points as of late. So I do personally think that the over could be a look here on top of that. But I also think you would need Trae Young in that game to do that. The Atlanta Hawks run the 8th highest pace throughout the entire NBA. And the Portland Trailblazers aren't blistering fast, but the reason that they give up so many points is because they have the 22nd ranked defense in all of basketball. Damian Lillard doesn't always play the best defense. Yusuf Nurkic likes to get in foul trouble. And Anfernee Simmons is actually ranked one of the top 10 worst defenders throughout the entire NBA. So although the Blazers can get out and score a lot of points, they generally don't defend that well on top of that. And when you have guys like Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, well, if Trae Young does play, again, that's some news that you need to kind of wait on and see. But with those two guys pushing the pace, attacking the basket, things like that, I think if you see this game start off quick, I think it could be a live bet opportunity as well, because I think this game is going to continue to stay fast. These are two teams where if you see the opposing team scoring early throughout that game, it generally continues. It's not like all of a sudden they get stingy on defense and the game slows down. These are two teams who give up a lot of points, and they tend to continue to give up a lot of points. So for me, I would be with Ron here. I'd be with the Portland Trailblazers at home. I think they want to get that win before heading back out on that road trip. And again, I think Damian Lillard is playing far more consistent basketball than anyone between either teams. And then on top of that, I think it's going to be a faster paced matchup. So I'd also side with the over here as well.
Yeah, I think both of those plays are live to me. If we look at, I mentioned earlier, the Hawks don't travel well. When they're going from a home game to a road game, they're 3-9 straight up and 1-11 against the spread. So only covering one game out of those 12 home to road games, averaging 111.8, allowing 119.8 per game. It does include one game that went into double OT. So some of those numbers might be skewed a little bit. I think in that double OT game, they scored like 140 points. Both teams did. They played the Warriors. But for the most part, they're giving up a ton of points there. They're not covering in that situation as well. Also, if you include that they're going from home to road in the West Coast, they're 0-6 against the spread in that spot. So not even covering a single game heading over to the West Coast. When I look at the Blazers here, they typically do close out homestands well. They're 5-3 straight up, 6-2 against the spread, covering their last 4 instances, playing a home game when their next game is on the road. They do play the Grizzlies next, which could be a look ahead, like I mentioned earlier, since they're a conference team. But they are coming off of a home loss. They come out firing in those games when they come off a home loss. 8-2 to their team total over, averaging almost over 120 points per game. So for me, I could only look towards the Blazers in this spot. I could also, if you want to pivot towards the team total over, for the Blazers as well, I think they do reach the 120 mark, and their team total tonight is 119. So those would be the looks in that game, the Blazers or the Blazers team total over. I'm just not too sure with the Grizzlies, with the Hawks. If Trae doesn't play, I looked at how they do without Trae Young in the West Coast or on road games specifically. They only scored 108 points but they allowed 128. So they ended up going over the closing total because they allowed so many points in that game. So that's just some extra information if Trey is in. But we never know with the injury report now. Any player props on this one? I mean, would we look to DeJounte if Trey is out?
Yeah, I think DeJounte would definitely be a good look, especially if Nurkic is out on top of that, and then the middle just wide open. Because DeJounte Murray, as we know, he's definitely one of those slashers. He's definitely one of those guys who likes to pick up the pace, and he's also someone that you can run a points, rebounds, assists. He's a 3-stat stuffer. He likes to get his teammates involved, and if in fact Trey Young does miss, his usage goes absolutely through the roof. So you're going to have a ton of volume, a ton of opportunity, and the Portland Trailblazers are definitely a team, like I said, 22nd in terms of adjusted defensive rating. So going to have plenty of opportunity, and it's going to be against one of the weaker defenses throughout the entire NBA. So yeah, I would definitely be on a pivot to DeJounte Murray if Trey Young misses.
Love it. All right. Well, now it's time for the best bet section. Matt, let's start with you here. What's your best bet for today's show? Also, talk to the people about what you got going on over on the premium side as well.
Yeah, guys. So on the premium side right now, I have one NBA play loaded. We will have some UFC this week on top of that. So I'm definitely going to have some UFC plays. The NFL is winding down, so you got to find some other sports. And lucky for you guys, myself and Ron, we cover multiple sports, including the UFC. So go ahead and head over to SportsMemo and check that out if you would like, because today, the best bet, all right, we are going to go with the Golden State Warriors, Andrew Wiggins, actually, over 14.5 points. And tonight, Andrew Wiggins and the Golden State Warriors travel on the road to face off against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And Andrew Wiggins is someone who returned from injury January 7th and recently was pushed back to full minutes until missing 2 games due to a non-COVID related illness. Got to say the non. But now he is working his way back, and now that he's going to enter the lineup once again, I think he's going to come back right to his typical role and right back to those 35-plus minutes. The OKC Thunder and the Golden State Warriors are 2 teams that run some of the highest paces throughout the NBA. The Golden State Warriors run the first highest pace throughout the NBA, and the Oklahoma City Thunder run the 3rd highest pace throughout the NBA. And now, Oklahoma City has been a surprisingly solid defensive team, but as of late, the Thunder have been without Lou Dort, who runs the small forward position. He runs the shooting guard position, and he's the team's best defender. And actually, over the last 3 games without Lou Dort, the Oklahoma City Thunder have fallen to the 10th worst defensive efficiency throughout the entire NBA. And I think this is key due to the fact that is someone that Andrew Wiggins would be matched up against in this game. So now Andrew Wiggins will be against Aaron Wiggins, Josh Giddey, Jalen Williams, someone along those lines. And Andrew Wiggins is actually most likely going to run the 4 tonight against the Thunder on top of that. So I think that's going to make this game even faster and give Andrew Wiggins even more opportunity. Now, since Wiggins has returned from his injury, he's averaging 14.3 shots per game on 34% shooting and 22% from the 3. So pretty brutal since he's gotten back, but you have to imagine that there's going to be natural uptick here, because Wiggins is a guy who, again, he averages 14.4 shots per game on the season, but is shooting at a 47% rate and 40% from 3. So again, there is a wide discrepancy in what he's shooting at right now compared to what he's done throughout the entire season. So again, I think there's going to be natural uptick here, and I think it's really going to start tonight, because the Thunder are also a team that gives up the 22nd most points throughout the entire NBA and gives up 51.5 points per game in the paint. Andrew Wiggins is a slasher. He's someone who likes to dunk. He's someone who is very good around the rim, things of that nature. So again, I think this is a very good opportunity, and even better now that Lou Dort is not going to be manning him up. Okay, in addition to that, the Oklahoma City Thunder give up the 9th most points per game to the power forward position at 23 points per game. Again, tonight, Andrew Wiggins is going to be running that power forward position or the small forward position, probably switching back and forth depending on the lineup at that point in time. But a very good opportunity, again, against a Oklahoma City Thunder team that runs a fast pace, is missing their top defensive guy, and is one of the worst rebounding teams throughout the NBA. So you know how Andrew Wiggins is. When he's into games, he's also attacking the glass and getting putbacks on top of that. So really liking Andrew Wiggins tonight. The number is 14.5 for his point total. I like the over here. I like Andrew Wiggins to get back on track. That's the best bet for today.
I love it. Yeah, I think you mentioned it before how teams the books don't adjust right off the bat after players come back. And depending on what type of injury they're coming back from, sometimes you can find value in those prop lines for those players as well. So good look there. I'm gonna go back to one of the games that we talked about earlier, the Nets and the Lakers here. I mentioned how the Lakers have no AD or LeBron here. They are 1-3 straight up. All three of those losses were on the road, like they are today. They failed to cover three of those games. In those three games, they're allowing 126 points per game. They're only averaging 108.7. Each of those games, the Lakers' opponents scored at least 122 points. The average first half margin in those three games minus 20.3, down by at least 9 points in all three of those games. For me, the Nets have figured it out offensively without KD the last few games here. They've covered 4 of the last 5 games, went over their team total in all 5 of those games as well. So you know their offense is clicking here. The Nets as home favorites of of more than 5 points versus non-conference teams. They're 4-0 against the spread, winning each game by 12 points at least. Their average first half margin is close to 9 points there. So for me, I would look towards the Nets first half. I know we don't have the best line, especially what we saw yesterday. But for the most part, I'm gonna take this first half, not the full game, because I think there's a chance that I mean, obviously, I think they're gonna win wire to wire. But my worry on the full game line is that the Nets have the Celtics on deck, so they could chill that fourth quarter and keep that back door open for the Lakers. And we know with AD and LeBron out, you're gonna have guys playing that want to kind of prove themselves, like Rui, obviously, who just came in. He's gonna probably play those closing minutes, even if it's out, even if they're down double digits. He's gonna be a key part of that game today. So, for me, I want to focus in on that first half. It is only 5 points, and we saw what I mentioned earlier. The margins of the Nets as home favorites +9 at half, and without AD and LeBron, almost minus 20 in the first half. I'll take that 5 points and see if the Nets can take care of business there. On the premium side, I don't have any plays up yet, but I will have something up past around noon. That's typically when I post my stuff. So really just want to make sure we know who's playing and who's not. And even then, even at around like noon or 2, even 3 o'clock, we're still worrying about players coming out the last like 30 minutes prior to tip off. So I don't know. Well, some of these games, especially lately, specific teams we need to worry about. And maybe we should make up a list, Matt, of the teams that we should hold off on betting until maybe 30 minutes before the game. I think it's a good idea, to be honest. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I'm with you. Honestly, it feels like it's getting tougher and tougher with some of the injury news that comes out. And then every single morning you wake up and some of these guys are so key that they can sway the point spread by, 2, 3, 4 points at times, So when you're kind of gauging off of that, it's definitely tough to pick some lines. And, that's one key thing about the show. And I hope that the people who tune in realize that as well. We're simply trying to highlight the situations with the information that we have available at that point in time. If you cover the NBA or if you watch the NBA every single day or you bet it, you know how fast everything can change. So the NBA is one of those sports, or probably the main sport, that you have to be paying attention all the way up until tip off the majority of the time.
Yeah, and it's crazy too, for that to be a part of the capping process, right? Figuring out which teams you want to wait on versus teams you want to get ahead of. It's tough, but hopefully we just continue to move in the right direction here as we finish the season off. It's past the 50 game mark now, so we only got 32 games or whatever. So, some teams only have like 30 plus games left. Um, we just want to close it out strong. With that said, it is the end of the show, guys. I do want to mention again the promos: double seven for myself and Matt. That's the 7-day all access package for $49. We have the Sport 100 for the remainder of the NBA season, $100 off of that package as well. And that's not just for myself or Matt. That's anybody over at sportsmemo.com. The other one too, it's Monday, so $9 Monday over at sportsmemo.com. All picks and packages from your favorite Sports Memo cappers are just $9. And also go to the website, not only just to see the picks and plays, but also the odds page there. The live odds page is very helpful to see where things are going, as far as which places. Obviously, Circa is one of the more sharper books there, so that's one to focus on as well. And also make sure you hit the like and subscribe button before you go. It really does help us tremendously here to grow this show. With that said, next show is on Wednesday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We got Jeff Michaels joining us on that day. Till then, guys, good luck with all your action. Peace.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at wagertalk.com, and all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.